Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. I wanted to spend the next few minutes talking about the purpose of zakat and link it to the purpose of fasting. We often explain fasting to others by saying fasting helps us to have compassion for the poor and needy. And of course it does. How grateful do we feel when we break fast and eat again after many hours without food and drink? And how much do we think about how those in need do not have much to eat? There are so many benefits to Ramadan, and reigniting our compassion for the poor is indeed one of those benefits. But that's not the ultimate purpose. After all, how can it be? Poor people have to fast too. Poor people don't need to develop compassion. They already know what it's like. It says in the Quran, "O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed for you, as it has been prescribed for those before you, so that you may attain taqwa." Taqwa, meaning mindfulness of God consciousness, that act of self-restraint which helps us to be mindful of and committed to God. So ultimately, fasting is about helping us to be more committed to God as individuals, but not only as individuals, because it's a time when we come together collectively as a community. Salah or prayer has that same purpose, helping us to become more committed to God, again, both as an individual, but also collectively as a community. And it's the same for zakat. Zakat is mentioned 28 times in the Quran, together with prayer, and many of us pay our zakat in Ramadan. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the most generous person, and he was even more generous during this month. So what is the purpose of zakat? Well, it says in the Quran, zakat expenditures are only for the poor and the needy, and to those who work on administering it, and for bringing hearts together, and to free those in bondage, and for those in debt, and for the cause of God, and for the stranded traveller. This is an obligation from God. God is all-knowing, all-wise. So zakat is for the poor and needy, but these are only 2 of the 8 categories. So that would suggest it's not compassion for the poor that is the ultimate purpose of zakat, just like it is not compassion for the poor that is the ultimate purpose of fasting. In fact, 5 of the 8 categories of zakat recipients deal with individual needs, helping the poor overcome desperation, helping the needy access resources from the community, helping those facing legal constraints to have more opportunity, helping those with financial problems to get into better mental health, and helping those who find themselves in emergency situations. But there are other categories too, and these categories deal with a more strategic use of zakat, the collective needs of the Muslims and indeed of Islam. Category 4 is bringing hearts together. An example of the kind of thing that this would include is spending zakat to increase positive perceptions of Islam by those of other faiths and indeed of none. And then there's category 7, for the cause of God. This involves building up the community from within, for example, supporting intellectual religious leadership and initiatives that can provide faith-based guidance. Spending zakat on these strategic collective needs is important to create an environment where our commitment to God can flourish. And if we don't spend zakat on these needs, we could end up in just a matter of generations where our great-grandchildren or even our grandchildren don't know enough about their faith to even know what zakat is, let alone to pay it. So if you take all those 7 categories, well, this is going to need a lot of coordination to do well and to ensure that the zakat is used in a balanced way across the categories to deal with individual needs as well as our collective needs. So let's add in the remaining one, which is those who administer zakat, who make sure the distribution is both efficient and effective. Now, if we look here, we have got a complete system of zakat, meeting both individual and collective needs in a coordinated way. Just like with fasting, one of the benefits of zakat is it reignites our compassion for the poor, but that's not the ultimate purpose. Just like fasting, the purpose of zakat is to help us all to be more committed to God, both as individuals but also collectively as a community. It could be transformative if we do our bit to make sure the zakat we pay is spent and distributed in this way. If you want to know more, you could take a look at the article on zakat on the Yaqeen Institute website. I wish you all a very blessed Ramadan.